Good evening, good morning, I should say. This is Susan, and this is Susan's Ramblings. I have a story to tell you today, and yes, I've told it before. In fact, I told it the other day, but the video was so dark that you couldn't even see my face, and I ain't figured out how to delete it yet, or to cut it off completely off my channel. So I'm going again. Take two. So it happens when you don't edit your videos. So here we go. This story happened several years ago. We lost my son to a heart attack about 18 years ago now. And yes, it's been hard to get over. In fact, I think I get over it, and I think I'm over it. And yet a couple of weeks ago, somebody brought up his name. I brought him up, and I got tears in my eyes again. And I said, I can't talk about him. I'm sorry, I just can't talk about him. Anyway, this is a story that he'd passed for many, many years. And my daughter and granddaughters and great-granddaughter and grandson had gone to a city about 150 miles from us for my great-granddaughter's birthday, or to celebrate her birthday. And it was a larger city. In fact, it's the largest city that's in South Dakota, in our state. So we had several things planned for that day. Things that my great-granddaughter wanted to see and do. The first stop was the zoo. We spent all morning at the zoo. And they had a great time. Of course, Grandma's leg gave out again. So she found a bench to rest while they went to see the tigers or the lions or whatever they went to see. And then we left. Because we had to take pictures too while we were at it. So then we went for dinner, or lunch, as you call it. Lunch, everybody calls it. We call it dinner. We ate dinner, and we went to a bookstore. So my granddaughter, great-granddaughter, and my grandson, younger grandson, could pick out a book for their birthdays. After that, our last stop for the day was to the butterfly house. This is an exhibit in the city that, as the climate is climate controlled for butterflies. It's a very moist, a very heated display. But anyway, they say that butterflies, when you see a butterfly, that means you have a loved one that is near you. Of course, we didn't even think of this when we went into it. We went into the butterfly house, and we hadn't been in there for maybe a minute. My oldest granddaughter held out her finger, and a butterfly landed on it. Talk about coincidence, huh? Anyway, my second granddaughter stuck her finger up there next to her sister's finger, and the butterfly literally just hopped off. Didn't fly off Lexi's fingers, but it hopped off onto KK's hand, KK's finger. Now we are really looking around, wondering what is going on here. Like I said, we forgot that when you see a butterfly near you, that someone you love is close by. So here came Coy, the youngest grandson, and he stuck his finger up along KK's. Except, you know what? The butterfly didn't hop onto Coy's finger. It flew away. Now, that really has us wondering. Anyway, we walked around. We looked at the different butterflies that were there. We looked at the different foods that they fed them with. We looked at different trees that were there. Anyway, they were still busy looking around. And Grandma got tired. So Grandma said she's going to sit down and wait for them to decide what they're going to do. Or wait for them to decide when they're going to leave. So I found a bench and I sat down. And I no more than had sat down, and a butterfly landed on my knee. Yes, a butterfly landed on my knee. My daughter took a picture of it, and she posted it on social media. And the first thing that came back was, "Hello, Mark." Then we realized what was going on. That this butterfly was Mark. And he was greeting all of us. He was letting us know that he was there. The reason he jumped on Lex's finger first was because she was the oldest grandchild, and she was a very special niece to him. She was the oldest niece. And he loved them dearly. Then came along KK about 3 years later. In fact, they were the only nieces he had when he passed. He had a nephew when he passed away, but Jacob was only a year old, and so he really didn't know Jacob. Or Jacob didn't really know him. Anyway, that's why. And so he hopped on Lexi's finger. And then he hopped to KK's finger. But as for Coy wasn't even thought of when he was alive or before he died. So he didn't know Coy. And he definitely didn't know Hadley, the great-grandchild. Anyway, we got ready to leave, and there was a little chamber, air chamber, leading off the butterfly house, where you step out, and it's an air chamber, and you brush your butterflies off, your burrows off your body, so they don't go out into the main building. Anyway, the rest of us were standing there, and we're waiting for my daughter. And she didn't come, and we could see into the butterfly house. And we could see her waving her hands around, but we couldn't see anything else. When she finally made it out to the chamber, and we got out into the other building, and we said, "Hey, what was going on there?" She said, there was this butterfly that just wouldn't let me be. It kept going around and around and around me. And it would land on me, and I'd brush it off. And it would come back and would land another place. And she says it took me that long to get the butterfly to leave me alone. It was Mark. He didn't want her to leave. And we know it was Mark. And we know he's in a better place because several days after he had died, And like I said, it was a sudden death. He had a heart attack, a massive heart attack, with no warning. And as I was trying to cope with this situation of him being gone, of having lost him, I asked God one day to show me that he was in a better place, that he was happy, that he wasn't suffering. And you know what? I immediately, and I mean immediately, got a picture of him standing in a field with my parents, with his grandparents. And I say a field because Mark loved the farm. I knew then. My next question was, yes, that's Mark and his grandparents, but why wasn't he with his other grandparents? Why isn't he with his aunt, who died several years before? But then all of a sudden I thought, now wait a minute, Susan. You asked for a sign from God, saying he was happy, and that he was in a better place. And he gave it. God gave it to you. What are you complaining about? Take your sign and know that he's in a better place. That's my story for today. God bless.